I have a doubt that martyrizes me a lot. Priest. In 2003, I lost my 33-year-old son. He was murdered when they tried to steal his cell phone. They sold their cell phone for 20 rays. Priest. That was the price of my son's life. He who was such a good man, so beloved by me and all he lived with, his life was torn into change. I don't comfort myself, priest. I will never conform. I think a lot about revenge. When it all happened, I walked away from the church, affect myself with a lot of ballad. I was not going to Mass years. Now, with the grace of God and Mary, I go to Mass. I watch the programs of the Lord, some programs of the new song. But I still haven't found the peace I need so much. I have a question and I need your help to answer. If Jesus suffered so much to save the lives of all sinners, this person who did it with my son, who changed my life, will be saved, priest? Will this killer be forgiven? And me, Father Fabio? And me? And my mother's suffering who lost her son? Where it is. Help me to end this doubt, Father. Help me take it out of my heart. My daughter, we have no way to get any negative feelings out of us before we do not reconcile with the situations that generate it. The discomfort of the lady's soul is not by chance. He is born precisely from his indignation to know that his son was killed because of a cell phone that was sold for 20 rays. This is the lady's sentence. This is the condemnation. I don't even know if this boy will be forgiven or not, which killed the lady's son. I don't know. I don't know his life. I don't know if he regretted the mistakes. I don't know how he will find death. In what situation he will be at the moment he said goodbye to this life. Now, I know that you are condemning the lady's life, is condemning her existence with this premise, with this sentence. My son died, was murdered because of a cell phone that was sold for 20 rays. The boy who killed his son, I have no way of talking. But I can talk to you, and I can assure you I can without fear of making mistakes. That while you do not live in the bottom of your heart, this necessary forgiveness will not be able to believe in no way. You will not be able to find peace with mining because no peace is possible when our heart is heavy of hatred. I know it is not easy, and Jesus also need to live it in his life. It was not easy in Jesus also because Jesus knew that forgiveness is the source of many virtues. When we manage to forgive, and I'm going to say something to the lady, it's not just the boy you need to forgive, which killed the lady's son. You need to forgive life. You need to forgive the event. You need to forgive the whole context in which son of the lady was situated at the moment he was killed. Because this guilt you know and recognize in that killer is not only in it, you ended up spreading this in many situations, and you must know very well. Because when we identify a culprit, that malaise ends up reaching our whole life. So much so that the killer should not even know what he causes in the lady today. Now you have your palm pointed to the lady's head, and every moment you shoot. Because hating is a way of killing yourself gradually. Every time we chose to live hatred, it's like pointing a weapon to the head that we slowly shoot. Because hatred, our inability of ours, often forgiving life, forgiving who hurt us. Because hatred is fed precisely because of the lack of forgiveness. It is that it makes us lose the quality of life. Well, my people, today we are talking a lot about suffering of father and mother. Right. Who loses child? How many children are abandoned around the world because the father and mother, when they lost that son, forgot that they had a family? What were other children in need of them? How many children? Do you cry? Priest, sometimes I think my mother only had that son because after he died, she never took care of us. She dived so much to her suffering, Father, that she was unable to look at us who stayed. Vanya, when she lost Gustavo, who was her eldest son in Cayenne, a boy full of life, was going on vacation. vacation in Mato Grosso. That handsome boy, full of life, that she said goodbye in the morning. At night, was dead. I remember that Alessan and Thais and her husband Kayan were determining factors for Vanya to meet the meaning of life. And this was a wisdom that was born from the Christian experience he lives. That Vanya is a Christian woman. She is in love with Jesus. I saw your involvement with Christianity closely. It is fundamental there. It's not just a backpack that takes it on the back. She believes in God, and God changed her life. But not only changed, that moment of pain was the moment when she could bring out what God had already changed inside her. He was looking at Thais, who was, to Alessio, who was, to the two, that she discovered. Gustavo died. Oh, and this is the heroic way the mother has to organize her own mourning. Loving those who stayed. Because mourning is treacherous. If we don't take care of it because of hatred that we feel for losing that son, we forget those who stayed. And then we end up committing an injustice with the husband, with their children, with friends, with the brothers. Why? Because we close in our suffering. We do not make an exit movement, and then we end up hurting our lives and lives of others. Is that my daughter? That every time you hate this criminal, every time you are brooding inside the lady, the fact is as if you were pointing the gun to your head and to the head of those next to the lady. I don't know if you have other children, but I particularly say, like Donna Anna's son, that every time I had to live with my mother at the time of her hatred, she was less my mother. Why? Because someone who is busy hatred cannot be an entire mother. So, my lady, don't waste more time with your hatred. Throw away. You no longer need to see, you no longer need to bring in the heart, the hatred that the killer causes. You can choose the lightness. You can choose forgiveness today. And forgiveness is a word really capable of freeing us. I don't want. I return this garbage. It's yours. Since you killed my son, since you took my joy, I want to return all the trash. Cleaning the heart. Not allowing more than he is a deposit of so many petty things. This is how we are cleaning the soul, right? What I need to do, that you need, because from time to time something wrong will happen. It will not be in accordance with our expectations. Something will not be according to our dreams. What we expected, what were you? But you are the driver of all this. You are ahead. With God with you. I believe it. Every day I ask for more. Lord, be so present in me, but so present that I no longer know even differentiate myself from you. I want to feel with your heart. I want to love with your heart. I want to live with your air. I want to have the strength of your presence in me. And if the Lord is the creator, I do not have the right to live unfinished. I want all the time to live this recreation process. If the Lord is the creator and I dare to breathe the same air as the Lord, if I dare to be the owner of the same word as the Lord, I have the right not to live anything but recreation. And today be recreated there, on the lawn of my house, with my dog Shaw on my lap, living a simple, very small situation that any human being has the right to live. It's not a privilege. It's not a luxury, no. It is a simple situation. You have a creature in your lap that has affection and respect for you, simply because you treat it well. And she identifies him in the world like that. In the midst of so many, he runs toward him. When everyone loves you, he answers his voice. Living that moment and discover that life is IT. And that all commitment is worth because of that moment that shows us that everything can be so. That by the lawns of life, by the lawns of existence, we have the possibility of living the surprise given. That's what I wish you. See? In the lawns of your life, you live more and more surprises.